All right. We're gonna run through some startup procedures here. Um, got my canopy closed and everything. Um, this is really just gonna go through startup. If you have questions about HOTAS, which is your hands-on throttle and stick, there are plenty of videos out there that can explain it to you. I'm not gonna run through mine because it'll take too long. Um, the trick about that is you just really want to bind the controls to those your throttle and stick, the controls that you use the most. Okay, the controls that you usually frequent, like if you flip from air to air to air to ground, things that you use in emergency instances. Like if you need to switch missiles or something like that, you want to bind that to your throttle and stick because you don't want to look down on your keyboard or looking down in your cockpit to find items or switches that you need. So that is the main premise of HOTAS. You want to, as much as you can keep your hands on the throttle and stick, the better. Okay, so if it's like stuff that you use to just set up or prior to takeoff or when you're cruising, you don't really need to bind those. It's just basically combat capable stuff you want to bind. Okay, so we're gonna go through my startup. I'm not a professional, so I probably won't do everything correctly. Um, I have spent some time in the military, but it was in the Air Force, and I was a weapons loader. It's not an ammo guy. I was a weapons loader. But anyway, let's go through these startups the way I learned it. This first section, you do not have to do. It's not pertinent that you do this, but I like the realism of it, and this is as real as it gets with me. So we're gonna hit the battery switch on, and we're gonna check our fire controls.
Engine fire left.
Make sure they work.
Engine fire left.
Run through.
Engine fire right.
Hit steps.
Engine fire right. APU fire. APU
Let it go
fire.
all the way through.
Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right.
Okay, so that was the whole run through. Turn it off, let it do a reset, and then we'll have to check the B side, make sure it works. Fire control suppression systems, that's what those are. So let's go ahead and battery on again. Let's check the B side.
Engine fire left.
Press and hold.
Engine fire left. Engine fire
And again,
right.
these are, I'm using the mouse for this
Engine
stuff because
fire
this is stuff I don't normally use.
APU fire.
So it's fine to not have this on the stick.
Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right.
Alright, so let's go ahead and turn on our APU. Let it run up till the light comes on. Once the light comes on, it says ready. You are ready to start your engines. So we now have it ready. In Navy life, they start the right engine first. Because on the left side, you have the ladder or whatever. Any last minute things that need to be done prior to the right engine start or left engine start is done then. So we're going to start the right engine first. Go ahead and get the engine crank going. Let it run up to 25 and then we'll go from shutdown to idle. Go ahead and turn our screens on. And let's go ahead and get our radar on, ready to align and operate. Okay, our right engine has started.
Roll left, roll left. Flight controls. Flight controls.
Okay, these are all your fails right here. These are things that have not yet initiated or as INS degraded, means it hasn't fully aligned yet. One of them just went out, that means hydraulic side 2B or whatever it was that just went out. That means it's good. So let's go ahead and get the left engine started. Let it run up to about 25 or so. Set our throttle to idle. Alright, she is good to go. Let's see our hydraulic lines went off, or they notifications went off. That means they're good and up and running. Okay. So since we checked our fire suppression systems, we have to turn the air on to the components. Okay. I don't know why it does it. I didn't make the jet. I've never worked on an F-18. But according to DCS, these are the steps. So now we need to turn this bleed air on so we can cool our components, our computer boxes and everything in the jet. So you can give it a click 360 degrees to the left or right, doesn't matter. I usually go to the right. And the air just came on. I can hear it in my earphones. I don't know if you can hear it, but the air just clicked on. So now, let's go ahead and get our O-bogs on. That's our oxygen system for the pilot. All this stuff is normally turned on or set to where it needs to be. Your APU just went off because your both engines are up and running, and it realizes that. Go ahead and check our fuel probe, make sure it works. I will be catching gas today. It's good and out, no issues. Bring it back in. Okay, position and formation lights on. You don't need your formation lights on. That's just a nighttime thing from what I understand. Our hook is on carrier operation. Our taxi light is off. Anti-skid is off for carrier operations. That our launch bar is retracted. Our flaps are fully down. Select jettison is in safe. Gear is down. Let's go ahead and set up our fuel indications. I like to set my bingo at 4,000. It gives me more than enough gas return to reach any airfield that I can rearm and refuel at. So once I get that call, that tells me it's time to find a place to land. Of course, this is your IFE panel right here, or right here. This is your jet selection panel. This is for if you want to selectively jettison certain arms from pylons. So this is your center pylon in the middle, your left inboard, your right inboard, left outboard, your right outboard. And we're looking over to the right side. This is your right inboard. This is your right outboard. So you cannot jettison the wingtip stations. You can also jettison the fuselage stations, but you'll have to turn it to right fuselage missile and left fuselage missile. Okay, there's not a selection up here. And again, just for coherency, there's the left inboard, there's the left outboard. Of course, the center line is on the belly of the plane. Okay, so we got that set up. Let's get our IFF on. You want to find out what the, you want to turn on your IFF so friendlies can identify you. Bad thing is, enemies can identify you too, but you don't have their IFF code anyway, so you're going to get identified anyway if you don't read back as friendly. Now, turn our TACAN on, or TACAN. You have to find the bolts TACAN. What this does is it will give you directions back to whatever TACAN station you want to come back to. So the TACAN station for the carrier is in the briefing. Let's go ahead and find it. There's your radio call signs, 261. You need to be on 261 to call clearance to land or take off. I'm going to try and remember to do that because I always forget to do that. So this is the carrier we're on, the super carrier. The TACAN station is 37X. And radio is 261. So we'll go ahead and set that up. TACAN is 37X. Go ahead and clear it. 37, we're already on X, so let's hit enter. And once you hit the TACAN, or you gotta turn it on first, then you hit the TACAN, it will tell you. So that little icon right there is your TACAN station, or in this case, the boat or airfield. Okay. So ILS we don't need unless we're landing. I haven't learned how to do that yet. As you may probably see at the end of this, my landings are pretty crap. Every time I land, I get lucky. So let's go ahead and turn our data link on. Data link is so friendly planes, when they read enemies, they can relay them to you. So it'll show up on your information system. So if a F-16 is 200 miles away and he reads a bogey, that'll get relayed back to me if it's not relayed from AWACS, assuming I'm close enough to receive his data link. Okay, so I turn both data links on. Don't know much about beacon yet, haven't read up on it, but all my guys are on. So one thing I usually forget as well is to turn my radar warning receiver on. It'll get you every time. So make sure you turn your RWR on, or you won't know if somebody's locking you up or if somebody's shooting a missile at you. Alright, ECM, turn it to receive. You can turn it to receiver standby. Once you're in the air, if you're challenging air threats or SAMs, you want to turn it to transmit. It won't make you blind to them, but it'll make it harder for them to lock onto you. So you can get closer if you need to launch munitions on somebody, things like that. Let's go ahead and turn our dispenser to bypass. That'll give me control of dispensing my chaff flare. Okay, we're going to move over to the boat's turning again, and it's turning left, so we might fall off. It's just a glitch with the game. So if we fall off, we'll have to do a restart. So let's go ahead and set that ADI up, so it'll give us some good analog readings. I like to set my altitude at 6,000 feet. Most planes set them at 5,000, but this is a heavy plane, especially when I load it up. So I like to have that extra 1,000 feet so I don't plow into the deck. Now I like to turn all these guys on. These guys are usually, you don't really have to mess with it. As you saw earlier, I pre-turned these on so my INS or ILS is aligning. I like to turn my PDOT tube and my engine heater on, my anti-ice, because it doesn't happen all the time, but if you don't turn them on, it'll give you indication that your engines are freezing, or anti-ice indication. These are your lighting panels. You can turn them to your discretion, and that's pretty much it. Now we do have to do flight controls, but I want to load my weapons on. That's why we have this light. It's a flight control warning. I haven't cleared it or zeroed it out yet. I want to do that after I get my weapons on, because it'll change again once you put weight on there. As you see, there's nothing on here right now. So let's go ahead and set up our H&D. So let's turn our H&D on. That's our helmet mounted display. You can look around and find threats, lock threats, targets, lock threats and targets, and you can see where they're at. So it'll give you an indication. So we have to run a test on it. Let's go ahead and do that. It's like a warm-up test. So let it run through these sets a few times. Once you let it run through twice or so, you can go ahead and hit stop. Okay, that's the first test. Now we have to align it. So let's go to menu. We'll go to H&D, and we'll go to align. So now you have to center your head. If you have we'll move it around, so we might fall off. So you have to center your head. If you have a track IR or VR or whatever, center your head on that cross, and then you're gonna hit uncage and hold it. So let me get as close as I can. And if you don't get close, you can do fine tunings after. So that's as close as I can get it. Try and hold it there. Alright, we're good. And if you're too far, too down, too left, too right, this is where you can fine tune it. So our next step is our vertical adjustments. So we're good. And then the next set is our roll adjustment. So it rolls left, rolls right if you were to move off that way. Just want to center it on that line. And after that, you're all done. Your H&D is aligned. So unhighlight align. We're also going to do our mid setup. This just lets you let your H&D see as far as it can. So it's supposed to be able to see a threat up to 100 miles away, or 100 nautical miles away. But your radar, I don't know if your radar sees out that well. I know you can see out to 160 miles on your SA page and things like that, but I don't think your the radar that you can lock up with doesn't see out that far. So you might get an indication on your SA page, and it may show up in your HMD, but you won't be able to lock it. It'll just tell you where it's at. And also, you can see these lines right here. This is usually your boat, your radar from your boat. This is your radar from your E3. That's the guy that's flying around telling you where the air threats are. You can also use it to find like friendlies, or if enemies pop up, if their radar shining on you, or if they're locking you, you'll also get an indicator as to where the bogey is. Okay, so we got that guy out. Let's go to our FCS page, and we're still not clear on FCS, so let me go ahead and load up, and then I'll zero up the FCS. So I'm just going with air targets today. So we'll rearm and refuel with missiles in 3 bags. So this is all that you can fit on the wing stations. And this is, you can fit all kinds of stuff on the inboard and outboard stations. So we're going to go with a dual setup of A120Cs. Then we'll put, since we're just flying around, we'll put some tanks on, so we'll have the extra gas. These are our cheek stations. They only fit missiles. There's your selections. You know, center line, fuel tank, or a pod, or a bomb. You can put those on there. We'll just put a fuel tank on it. And on station 4, you can put missiles or pods, lightning pods. You can also put pods on the center line. But we're going to put a populated missile on here today. And make sure I'm not incorrect. Yeah, just on 4, you can populate those pods. So we'll go to station 3 and put another tank on, because I'm asymmetrical. There's a lot of F-18 guys that fly odd configurations. Go ahead and put 2 more AIM-120s on, and an A9X. Okay, and I like to get a little saucy, so I like to change up my camo, my paint job. Brown Splinter is my favorite, and I usually fly 546. Let's go ahead and top off our gas, because we've been running and talking long enough. And as soon as we get loaded up, we'll center our flight controls.
Request refueling. Request rearming. Copy. Refueling complete.
Now, learning this jet, I've joined a great bunch of guys. If you look up digitalthemepark.com, there's a group of guys there that actually train on these aircraft, and also in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, not trying to name drop or anything, but those are the guys that taught me how to fly this F-18. It made learning this plane a lot easier, because I was just winging it. I wanted something more than just an F-16, and I wanted something that I could fly off a carrier deck. And I tried with the F-14 because that was my favorite jet as a kid, but it's too analog-y for me. I'm a little bit spoiled coming off of the F-16. The F-16 and F-18, everything is just pretty much done for you. It's like It's like difference between building a computer in the 80s and building a computer in the 2000s. So now we got our fuel on, our missiles are on, we're all armed up. Let's go ahead and center out our flight controls, and these guys will go off. Everything except wing unlock will go off because obviously my wings are still in an awkward position. So let's reset our flight controls, zero them out, and let's make sure our rudder is nice and trimmed to zero. As you can see, they went out. So while I'm doing other things, I like to let the flight controllers do their little dance, go through their little checks. So we're gonna flip this FCS bit switch up. I'm gonna press and hold the right mouse button, and then come over here to reset and press it in with the left mouse button, and then it goes through its flight control bit. Or not. Let's try it again. Nothing in it. Nope, she's not doing the dance for me. Try one more time. If not, this isn't mandatory either. I was just trying to go through my entire startup. Oh, there it goes. Now it's doing its bit. I just guess I didn't hold the button long enough. So while it's running through its bit, I usually like to set up other things that I'm working on. So right now that I'm armed, I'll go ahead and set up my air-to-air. So let's get that set up. And these are the steps I was trained to set them up. So I'm going to set up my aim 9 first, since that's what it defaulted to. So our search distance will be 10 nautical miles. Our search distance will be medium, because anything under 20 or 25 nautical miles, you want to switch your pattern or your look pattern to medium, because the closer they are, the harder they are to keep on your radar. Because the closer they get to you, the more they start maneuvering and stuff. They can go up and down or try and notch, you know. But medium tries to hold that lock on a little bit better than high. So we'll set that to medium. We'll keep the 4-bar scan. So that's 4-bar level. So it'll check 4 bars. So like it'll check this bar, this bar, this bar, and this bar. And that's the center. So it'll be up here, up here, up here, up here. Just 4-bar scan. And we'll keep our cone radius to 20 degrees. Because you don't need a big cone radius when you're enclosed. So we'll set that to set. And then we'll go to our data. And we'll change this to 4 for 09s. I don't know why they explained it to me, but I missed this part. But it has something to do with setting up your aim 9 for a search or something like that. So I have to go back and ask my classmates. Then I hit set again just to make sure I don't lose that information. So then I have my missiles set on my throttle. So down is aim 9, up is aim 120, forward is gun, and aft is aim 7s. We hardly ever fly aim 7s, so I put in a spot I probably won't normally use. So let's go ahead and set up our 120. You can't see under the X, but it says AC6. That means your aim 120 C6. You have 6 of them. So we're going to set up our search pattern. We'll keep it at 40. Our search distance. Our search cone, we'll break it down to 40. And we'll keep our cone at our bars at 6. And we'll keep our cone at 40 degrees. And we'll set it to high, because high is a good search aspect for BVR long distance. So we'll set that. Then we'll go to our data page, and from 120, we'll set it at 32. Again, don't know why, but it works. So go ahead and set that again. Make sure we don't lose that. And we'll go over here to our page, and we need to set up what type of plane we want our missile to look for. So fighter jets are usually smaller planes, so we'll go ahead and switch them to small. We'll switch our CS to small as well. Now that we're in this page, we'll also hit menu, and since we're in air-to-air, we'll go to our ASO page. ASO is another form of identifying an input, but for this case, it's used to automatically interrogate planes. So you don't have to ask the AWACS and say, hey, is this friendly or foe? It'll automatically interrogate the plane that's in your radar cone, and it'll tell you if it's friend or foe. Friends are green, foes are red. And if you lock them up without looking, you'll have a X in your box, or it'll say friend above or below it. So you'll know it's friendly. If it's a bogey or enemy, it'll be a diamond box. It won't be a regular box. It'll be a diamond box. All right. So our ASO page is set up. We can go back to menu. We'll keep it in air-to-air because that's what we're going to do. Set our SA page. It's pretty much like the HSI page. Slightly different functions, like our TACAN is down here, but up here is sensor. So what I use this for is to it helps me see threats, and I say space it all the way out. So as far as I can see, as you see, there's a enemy inbound on us. I guess he's 63 miles away, but I had it at 60, or no, it was at 40. I had it at 40 and you can't see it. So this gives you a 160 nautical mile radius to see threats, what's coming in. It won't do that on the HSI page. Okay. So I'm pretty much all set up and ready to go. We are going to go ahead and taxi. Let's turn our bid off. And I believe we are ready to go. Master caution. I don't have any threats. It must be because I'm too low. Let's go ahead and set our ejection seat to arm. I always forget that too when we take off, but it'll let you know when you go up. Alright, let's go ahead and taxi to, let's try Cat 1. Looks like Cat 1's ready to take off. So let's take our chalks off, because when you're on the carrier, they always put your chalks on. Tell the ground crew to remove the chalks.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
And then we'll release our emergency brake, and we'll go ahead and taxi with Cat 1. Wait for these guys to take off. Oh, almost forgot. Since I got a lot of weight on, we need to go ahead and set up our flight controls. Get our horizontal stabs back there to do a little nose up, so when I get off the deck I don't drop it in the drink. So we're gonna run it up to 18 because I got 3 bags. See our stabs went up to 18. Let me hit my master caution, make sure there's nothing else. And then we're going to taxi on the Cat. Now the first time you taxi on the Cat, it'll automatically tell you to marshal you in. But any other time, most other times, you'll have to request the crew launch. And again, I didn't call the tower to tell them I was taxiing. So, yep, see, he automatically starts telling you taxi. Coming on in, center it up. And stop. Now he's going to tell me to drop my launch bar as soon as these guys get set up. Oh, he's telling me to unfold my wings first, so let's unfold the wings, get them to spread. And go ahead and drop the launch bar. Now we want to hold that in the spread formation. Now he's going to marshal me forward. Give him a little extra so you get over that hump. And it'll automatically stop. Setting up the launch bar and the chalk or whatever you call that. Go ahead and put my launch bar up. Now the next guy says, hey, keep your eyes on me. Run them up. You want to make sure all your stuff is working before you take off. Give your crew, your ground crew, the salute. And away we go. Once you're up, gear up, and flaps it. Now it looks like I'm gonna have to tango with an F4, so let's go ahead and get our air-to-air up. And master on to on. Let's see what altitude he's at. He's at 32. And it looks like he wants to tango. So let's get up there. Get my 120 set up. I'm gonna switch to TWS. Oh, there's two of them. Whoa. I'm at 11,002. I should have stayed down there with him. Trying to get our nose on. Oh, looks like we got it. Switch it up to auto. See our diamond, that means we have a bogey. Go ahead and get in on him. His wingman is hot on me, so we are 22 miles out. Let's get one out on him. See if we can get his buddy. Buddy's climbing up to me, and he's locking me up. He's pretty close, so he might take me down. I can't get a bead on him. Let's switch to medium. Got him. Send him on to. Nope, I don't have him. Let's send another one. Oh, I lost him. Yep, he got me. And that'll be it.